thank Igloo for the invitation to come and talk to you guys this afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. As Andrew said, my name is Javier Miles. I'm a communications manager for Nextel Mexico. And Nextel Mexico is part of a larger company called NII Holdings. We have about 13,000 employees, as Andrew said, spread out in 5 different countries. The story you will hear about today is a real story. It's not based on true events, as some of the movies that are coming out today, where half of them is true, and the other half, when you start digging, you realize that it's made up. The solution that we deployed is helping our employees stay engaged and collaborate like never before, thanks to Igloo. And just a side note, Igloo didn't pay me to come and talk to you guys. I tried, but Andrew calls me and I say, listen, my speaking engagement fee, it's $1 million. So, yeah. I mean, I have experience, I look good. That's $1 million for you. So Andrew says, I cannot get you $1 million, but I can bring you to Toronto. I can put you in a nice hotel, and I can give you all the pizza you can eat. And I was very offended by that, and I said, Andrew, you had me at pizza. That little story, that little humor is just a way to say that Igloo goes out of their way to get to know their customers. They get to know me. They weren't satisfied with signing the contract and helping me launch my intranet. They keep in touch with me on a weekly basis via my project manager, who's Nanette there. Also on a quarterly basis, we get together and we review site metrics, and they give me advice on how to make it better. I have a very small team, so I don't have the luxury of having a lot of people working on my intranet. So they really go out of their way to ask me about what I think about the intranet, what I think it's missing, what things they can add in the future on subsequent releases. And I have seen some of that feedback incorporated in releases. I don't have to pay for those releases, by the way. They launch new functionality almost on a quarterly basis, and that's something that I just receive and I welcome with open arms. So they do go a step further to get to know you and really help you if you do need help. So again, the story that you'll hear today, it's a real story. I'm going to take you back in time 3 years, 2011, when we decided as a company to make some changes as an organization. We had several challenges back then in 2011. So I'm going to tell you about those challenges as an organization. I'm going to tell you a bit about how we went to implement a global intranet solution that helped us mitigate some of those challenges. It is still helping us with those challenges. Obviously, we have not resolved them all. And some of the lessons learned along the way for this implementation. So first, I'm going to take you back to 2011. My company had a set of very significant challenges. First of all, we received on our employee engagement survey, overwhelmingly, the number one thing that we needed to improve as a company was employee communications and collaboration, especially between markets, between countries. As I said, we operate in 5 countries: Nextel Argentina, Nextel Chile, Nextel Brazil, Nextel Mexico. Up until this year, we had Nextel Peru, now no longer with the company, and the headquarters office in the United States. So our employees did not have a way to collaborate and connect amongst each other. We didn't even share a common email infrastructure. So they told us we need that now more than ever. Also, we cover 3 different languages, right? Mexico, Argentina, they speak Spanish. And then we have Brazil with Portuguese, and in headquarters, English. Most of our employees only speak 1 language. So that in itself, it's a pretty tough communications challenge. So we knew that whatever solution we would select needed to accommodate trilingual employees. No, actually, no. 3 languages. I'm sorry. New brand identity. Back in 2011, our company decided to revamp, upgrade, and renew our brand, our logo, our image against our customers. So at that time, it kind of gave us a great opportunity. Okay, so our entire company for the first time is going to move to a common, standard, simplified, modern brand. Why don't we try to introduce a global, standard, simplified, modern intranet for everybody? So it gave us kind of that opportunity to do that. At that time as well, we were outsourcing our IT function. It was a very confusing and challenging time for us because we were not getting a lot of good support from our IT department, and we, I'm saying the internal communications function. We knew we were not going to get a lot of their support to launch a new intranet, so we went ahead and looked for a solution that would have low IT involvement from an implementation perspective and from a ongoing support perspective. Multiple outdated technology platforms for country intranets. Everyone looked different. Everyone was in a little different version of SharePoint, as Andrew was saying. And again, we did an intranet assessment around the markets, and we just discovered that what our employees wanted more than anything was to find each other. Specialists between markets. They really could not find each other to work on a particular project or on the launch of a new smartphone for one of the countries. They couldn't even exchange best practices. So more than anything, our employees were telling us, just let me find my colleague or my partner in another market and give me a platform where I can work and better collaborate with him. So that was the situation in 2011. And this is an example of what I meant by that we operated very decentralized. Our 6 intranets, they almost look like completely different companies, not many things in common. Even our brand, it was slightly different on each of the markets. So we said we're going to replace those. We didn't completely ignore our intranets. We did take the best of each of them. We picked some best practices and took note of them to try to implement them or recreate them in the new solution. But literally, we did replace those 6 intranets with a new solution. The first thing we did, as with every major global project, is we set up a mission, something that we could all rally behind as we were launching this. So our mission, we set it as engage NII Nextel employees through a global intranet that informs them about our business and connects them to our strategy, markets, customers, and each other. Very straightforward. That's our mission. Let's go and do it. We took it one step further. After we set up our mission, we set up 5 strategic objectives. We want to deliver consistent information to all our employees, regardless of where they work. We want to improve their productivity by implementing a user-centric navigation, something common across all markets. Powerful search, not only for documents, for information that you need to do your work on a daily basis, but powerful search for people, for colleagues. Some personalization. We didn't want the intranet experience to be the same for everybody. We wanted them to have a little wiggle room to have their own contacts, their own favorites pages, their own subscriptions, content that they could follow. We wanted them to have something like that. We wanted to improve the collaboration within our employees, within our employee base by providing a platform for community-based collaboration within the company. We wanted our employees to feel like they're part of a community, and if they want to have sub-communities or teams and they want to collaborate, we can also give them a platform or a tool to do that, to collaborate as a team. We wanted to support employee connections by enabling networking via global employee directory and other social networking tools. Back in 2011, we didn't have anything that resembled Twitter or even blogs, nothing of that sort. So we knew that we wanted our basic standard intranet, our classic intranet, but we did want to add a social networking component because it was very important. We could tell that it was going to be the next thing in employee collaboration. So we wanted to introduce those type of tools and foster the sense of belonging to a global single company. Those were our objectives. We hadn't even selected a technology yet. We just selected a mission and 5 strategic objectives. Then we moved on to, okay, how should we roll out this new platform or solution, whatever that will be? We started here on the top right. We conducted an assessment. We talked to a lot of people, as Mike did in Hulu. We talked to a lot of stakeholders to ask them, what do you really need? What are your needs? Where do you see that we have gaps today? We gathered a lot of information. We did a planning session where we selected our mission, our strategic objectives, among other things. Only then we moved on to let's look at the market and see what's out there from a technology perspective. We were really open to anything that would help us achieve our strategic objectives. So we were not biased to any particular technology. Obviously, we were going to move on to implementation and then finally adoption, marketing, communicating, training. At the end of the project, the most difficult step, the one that took the most time, the one that I am working as of today to try to improve is the adoption, by far. Implementing it, launching it, piece of cake. Getting people to really use it, and I mean really use it, not just visit it, but take advantage of all the features and functionality that we do have. That's something that, that's why basically I have a job. That's my job, to continue that adoption and that promotion. Just because you're building a great intranet, it doesn't mean that your employees will come. Or if they do come, they may just come to the home page and a couple of minutes later move away. So adoption, have it in mind if you're thinking about doing something like this. Spend a lot of time in marketing, in education, and in training. Before launch, during launch, and after launch. Very important. Finally, we did get to the selection criteria for our technology. So we said the first thing, this thing has to be really easy to use. We didn't want a complex tool. It needs to be easy to train people, okay? Both the administrators, the content owners that upload content, and also the employees that are going to use it. It needs to be easy to train, very easy to deploy, cost-effective, very small team, and not a lot of budget for this. Low level of IT support required. As I mentioned, we knew that we were not their priority, so we needed something that would almost have no IT involvement, and we learned it the hard way. You do need your IT group to launch or implement such a global solution. But at the end of the day, it was a lot less than your typical intranet implementation. Something that matched our business and functionality requirements, allowed a two-way communication that would be mobile enabled, very important for us, that would support multimedia and collaboration. And then also we wanted not just one solution that we would implement, and then if we wanted to make a change, or if we wanted to maybe upgrade, or if we wanted to add functionality, we needed to go through, the process of submitting a bid or putting a request into IT just to get 2 months later a quote for a level of effort, and then try to get the money approved, and then 6 months later we introduce a new blog. We wanted something much more flexible and much more dynamic. So at the end of the day, we looked at all the market options, and our best solution was Igloo, and we signed that contract back in 2011. And our first launch was in March 2012. We're going to talk a little bit about that launch. Back around this time, we also selected our name. We wanted to select a name that was easy to remember for all our employees, and we selected Mundo Nextel, or Nextel World. But it wasn't just about selecting the technology. If you don't have the processes to support that technology and to monitor it and to enhance it, to nurture it, your intranet is going to fail no matter what technology you use. So we did go ahead and establish a governance model for our intranet with a steering committee, with an owner. I am the editor, the global editor-in-chief, and I have people that work with me at each of the different countries. However, none of these roles are full-time. Okay? We do not have a person assigned 100% to our intranet. We are able to manage and update and monitor our global intranet with about 7 to 10 people. And I'm going to say that 20% of a person's time, any of those resources that I mentioned, we spend 15 to 20% of our time working on the intranet. So we didn't need to hire anybody. We just added it to responsibilities of certain existing employees, and they're able to manage that on an ongoing basis without any problems. Okay, we established a governance team, and we also established some basic ground rules, some rules of the game. We were going to introduce new functionality for our employees, the ability to post comments, to like things, to leave comments in very public areas like the homepage or our CEO communications. So the ability to vote for things, yay or nay, So our HR and legal departments were a little bit concerned. We're introducing this new functionality. What is it going to be? So we said, okay, let's set up some rules of the game. No anonymous comments will be allowed on the site. Anything that you do, whenever you post, whenever you vote, it will be assigned or tagged or connected to your profile. So no anonymous comments allowed. Comments could be subjected to prior approval before posting. There would be consequences for violating the site policies, just like we have a code of conduct for how to behave in the office. We do have a code of conduct for our intranet site. And then some basic things like respecting confidentiality and copyrights, make sure you respect the code of business conduct of our company and ethics, keep your user ID and password safe, don't upload or share anything that is personal, private, or highly confidential, and do not upload content that is illegal or prohibited. Something very, very basic, very common sense, but very important. Okay, as I said before, we selected Igloo, we moved on to implementation. We have 13,000 employees. We rolled this out to 300 people in the United States in February of 2012. And we let our 300 employees play with our new Mundo Nextel solution for almost 6 months. It was a great solution, very easy to implement, but we didn't want to just make a big splash and roll it out to everybody at the same time. We wanted to make sure that it was a solution that worked for our company, for our culture. So we rolled it out in a very small, maybe 1%, 2% of our total employee base. They played around with it for about 6 months, gave us a lot of feedback, and then we took almost another 6 months after that to enhance and upgrade the solution before we moved on to our second largest market, Argentina. That brought about 2,000 more employees to Mundo Nextel. So we started with 300 by second quarter 2012. About a year later, Nextel Argentina. I cannot tell you how important it was, those 6 months with this pilot community. We found and learned things that we never thought that we would get. A lot of useful feedback that was submitted to Igloo, and they helped us strengthen and enhance the intranet in a few ways. So as a result, the launches in Argentina, and a month later, Mexico went very smoothly, and they were really successful. Our employees welcomed it and celebrated our intranet. They were extremely happy. So in the space of a month, we brought about 8,000 more users. And just this year, in March of 2014, we launched it to our final largest market, which is Nextel Brazil, bringing another 6,300. So all in all, about 13,000 users today. Extremely happy with the platform, especially compared to what we had before. The leap was tremendous from a technology perspective. I'm getting into my final slides. As I said before, marketing. Just be prepared to market your intranet internally just as if you would externally. Just as if you would be launching a new site for your customers. Your employees are really, really tough customers as well. So we did spend a lot of time and effort doing a marketing campaign that was very much in your face. We were everywhere. The previous month before a launch, we had posters, table tents, we had emails, we had signs in the office, we had balloons. Not only announcing it, but telling them the new things that they could do. Hey, you can start blogging and commenting on March 1st. You can also like, and you can also have your own profile with your contacts, and you can have subscriptions and follow content and get alerted when new things come on the site. We were really in your face. This is what Mundo Nextel looks like, the homepage. We have a very simple navigation at the top with 6 major areas, a main carousel where all the latest or the most important news of the week are posted. We have news from other countries based here, a multimedia gallery. This is very common to everybody. This is the area where we have a little bit of personalization. If you belong to a team room or a collaboration space, it's going to show up on your homepage as soon as you log in. And as you navigate the site, if you like something, anything, it could be a file, it could be a page, it could be a blog, there is a way with a one single click that you can add it as your personal link or your favorites. It becomes your favorites list. So each employee that goes there has their own set of favorites for Mundo Nextel. But they also have their contacts, their subscriptions, and a briefcase where they can upload content and take it around the world wherever they are. This is a sample of a team room or a collaboration space for a team. We usually create those upon request. A team comes and says, I have this project. It starts this year and it's going to finish December of next year. So we create that space for them. We give it to the team and they manage it themselves. Once the project is concluded, we usually archive the information and remove it from the site. The same functionality that we have on Mundo Nextel for all employees, but dedicated to a project team. One of the most important things for us was to find each other. And that's why we grabbed the employee profile that Mundo Nextel has, and we enhanced it with several things, like not just where you are located and what's your telephone number and what's your title, but what's your primary and your secondary responsibilities. What is your education? What is your background? What kind of technologies do you work with? What kind of social networking sites are you a member of? I'm a member of Facebook, Twitter. You can include your handles. There is so much more information here in this profile that is really helping our employees work better, connect to each other in a much more personal way. It doesn't matter the country that they work in. So this was very important for us, and we're taking full advantage of it. Just a few numbers for our site since launch, and this is just for the US site, the US portion of Mundo Nextel. Remember I said we have about 300 employees. So we're getting about 392 visits per day. So that means about every employee in the US visits the US intranet, plus maybe 90 or 100 employees from other countries that come in and look for information in our US site. Average visit duration, 5 minutes and 20 seconds. The most active day of the week is Monday, when people come back from the weekend. We have over 18,000 files uploaded as of today. We have 322 blog articles, over 1,000 wiki articles containing valuable knowledge for a company that now it's basically exposed to everybody via wiki. And we have over 502 calendar events. So this is what I mean. This is real proof that Igloo is enabling a transformation in the way my employees collaborate and engage with each other and with our company. This is the proof. We never had a wiki before where we could store knowledge about X type of project. It was usually stored in some sort of made-up site and then kept, and nobody could access it. Now we have a knowledge base here. We have calendar events for all employees, not just for one team, but for everybody and sub-teams. We didn't have that before. Blog articles. We didn't have one blog article before. It was so hard to get people to blog, people to get us news and events, and now we have 322. So I'm not going to say that Igloo is solving all our problems and it's a perfect solution, but I'm saying that it is enabling us to transform the way that our employees connect and engage in a very, very real way. So my last couple of slides, lessons learned. First of all, processes. I mentioned that before. The best technology will fail if you don't have strong processes to support it. Take advantage of your vendor's project management capabilities, especially if you don't have them in-house. I didn't have them in-house. I mean, I had project managers, but none of them had launched a global intranet for collaboration before. So Igloo gave us Nanette, and I'm using her up until today. Establish a process to quickly escalate major issues. Remember, this is a cloud solution. So the entire infrastructure is outside of your company. It is outside my company. So whenever we have an issue, we do have a support contract with specific response times that we expect that issue to be resolved. So important to establish that right from the get-go. Establish a process to quickly communicate to your users about major issues. If the platform goes down, make sure that you have another way of telling users that there is something wrong. Establish a process to gather, analyze, and discuss site metrics on a regular basis, incorporating lessons learned. So like I said, on a monthly and quarterly basis, I sit down and review the activity on my site. The tool does have embedded very, very powerful analytics. And then we sit down and say, what areas need to be ramped up? Where do we need to maybe pay a bit more attention? What are our most successful areas, etc. So have that process added to your day-to-day activities to make sure that your site is improved on an ongoing basis and it doesn't become stale. Establish a governance model for making big decisions about the site. From a technology perspective, define your IT requirements ahead of time if you can with your IT team, whether it is about, do our employees need to upgrade their web browsers? Do we have enough bandwidth in our company to have all our employees go to the cloud, go to the intranet to visit our site? And remember that you may not be their priority. So high levels of customization and integration may take a little longer than you think. We did grab Igloo solution and work with them for a few months to do some customizations, some things that we needed specifically. So beware of that. Start small. A pilot is going to build acceptance with IT and other constituents. You will not launch with all the features and functionality you want at first. You already know that if you worked on a project before, you start with all this list of things that you would want, and at the end, you end up doing a priority list. The must-haves, the nice-to-haves, and your wish list. So we did that, and we launched with all our must-haves and a few nice-to-haves. And then from then on, we started adding as we moved forward. Test all site functionality before launch, and then test it again. If you're unsure about something will be successful on your site, a blog from your president, or a contest, or something else that you want to try, and you're not sure if your employees will respond to it, just test it out. Put it out there. This platform is very simple to change, launch new things, try out a new blog, a new wiki, a new contest, a new whatever you can imagine. It really gives you the tools to implement ideas very quickly. And if they do not work after a month, after a couple of months, just take it down the side and move on to the next thing. Don't be afraid to do that. We do stop every time we want to launch something and think about whether or not it will be successful. Sometimes we talk too much. And now we said, you know what, let's just put it out there and see how our employees react. You'll never know where your successes are coming from. And then don't be afraid to launch if the site is not 100% ready, maybe 90%. Finally, work with all your local markets or business areas to get buy-in before launch. Plan on a high-touch implementation to engage your target audiences. Be persistent. Company culture is not changed overnight. My company culture did not change overnight. It is still changing. We were not used to blogging and commenting and liking and posting and sharing pictures of family and friends. But they're starting to do that now. Okay, it's been 3 years, and I've seen the progress, but we're still not to where I would want them to be. Select a name for your intranet that is easy to remember. Train, market, and create excitement within your stakeholders. Identify champions to support you around the company. And then use anything that you can think of, contests, games, prizes, anything that you have, to engage your employees during those first critical weeks after launch. Be creative, push the boundaries of what has been traditionally accepted. Don't be afraid to try new things. And with that, I think that's the end of my presentation. I know we have to go through Q&A, so thank you for your time.